She was once the kind of beauty that made the world stop and stare, flawless, radiant, unforgettable. But time, choices, and cruel twists of fate have left their marks, reshaping her face into something almost unrecognizable today. The transformation is so shocking, it's hard to believe this is the same woman who once embodied pure glamour. What began as a story of dazzling fame has turned into one of heartbreak and the high cost of stardom. Stay with us because this then and now tale will leave you stunned, and maybe even speechless. Shelley Duvall, the shining star who slipped into the shadows. In the Hollywood of the 1980s, no one looked or sounded like her. Quirky, fragile, and unforgettable, she carved out her own space on screen. As olive oil in Popeye, she was wide-eyed perfection, her timing so sharp it felt effortless. But it was Wendy Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining that sealed her name in cinematic history. What the world never saw was how deeply Shelley surrendered herself to that role. On set, she carried Stephen King's novel everywhere, its pages covered with her scribbled notes, each line a lifeline to Wendy's unraveling mind. But Kubrick's infamous perfectionism drove her to the brink. Dozens of takes, endless screams, days of tears. The psychological toll left scars no audience could see. By 2002, Shelley stepped away, retreating to a quiet life in Texas. Yet the world hadn't forgotten her. In 2016, she appeared on Dr. Phil, her struggles with mental health laid bare in an interview that sparked controversy. Years later, a 2021 follow-up offered more compassion, revealing how the intensity of her roles left lasting wounds, periods of isolation, anxiety, and emotional pain that stretched far beyond the spotlight. Shelley Duvall's story isn't just one of stardom, it's the cost of it. A reminder that behind iconic performances and immortal lines are real people carrying the weight of what it took to get there. Helen Hunt isn't just another Hollywood star, she's the actress who quietly redefined what beauty and authenticity mean in an industry obsessed with perfection. Rising to fame as the witty and lovable Jamie Buckman on Mad About You, she won America's heart with her down-to-earth charm and effortless relatability. But Hunt's brilliance didn't stop at sitcoms. She stormed the big screen with unforgettable performances in Twister, Castaway alongside Tom Hanks, and of course, As Good as It Gets, a role that earned her an Academy Award. Yet while many of her peers basked in red carpet excess, Helen walked a different path. She drove a Toyota Camry for years, a quiet symbol of her grounded spirit in a town defined by flash and status. That humility only deepened her connection with fans. What truly makes her stand out, though, is her message. She has spoken openly about aging, body image, and self-love, subjects most stars tiptoe around. Instead of chasing impossible beauty standards, she embraces change, reminding us that worth isn't measured in wrinkle-free skin or designer gowns, but in authenticity and integrity. In a Hollywood addicted to filters and facelifts, Helen Hunt shines as a rare voice of honesty. She's proof that real beauty lies in confidence, truth, and the courage to be yourself. So let me ask you, do you find Helen's fearless approach to aging refreshing? And which of her roles made you fall in love with her the most? Janice Dickinson, the supermodel who dared to defy time. She wasn't just another beauty in the crowd, she was a storm. Crowned by many as the world's first supermodel, Janice ruled the runways of the 70s and 80s with raven black hair, a piercing gaze, and lips painted in fire-red confidence. She graced Vogue's cover 37 times, outshining even legends like Lauren Hutton. But in fashion, time is the cruelest critic. As the years passed, Janice fought back with surgery after surgery, chasing the face that made her famous. "I've had more procedures than I can count," she once admitted. From breast augmentations to facelifts, her transformation became a global talking point. On reality TV, from Celebrity Big Brother to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, she divided audiences. Some praised her raw honesty, while others saw her as a warning of excess. Even the doctors on Botched admitted she was one of their toughest cases. Then everything changed. In 2016, Janice was diagnosed with breast cancer. For the first time, survival mattered more than beauty. Years later, she shocked fans by appearing at a Fendi event with a softer, almost serene look, a glimpse of acceptance, maybe even peace. Janice Dickinson chased eternal youth with relentless fire. But in the end, did she discover something far more valuable? Was she fearless, excessive, or simply misunderstood? The story is yours to judge. So, what do you think? Icon, cautionary tale, or a woman who refused to surrender? Drop your thoughts below. Daryl Hannah, Hollywood's mermaid who refused to follow the script. With her ethereal beauty and magnetic presence, she became an instant icon the moment she rose from the sea as Madison in Splash. But Hannah was never just another pretty face. She lit up screens in Roxanne and Steel Magnolias, then showed her edge and grit in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill saga. Her range made her one of Hollywood's most quietly powerful forces. Yet, behind the glamour, Daryl has always danced to her own rhythm. Did you know she once chained herself to a tree for 3 weeks to stop a freeway project that threatened an urban farm in Los Angeles? That fearless spirit is the same one she brings to Hollywood's beauty-obsessed culture. While many stars chase eternal youth under the surgeon's knife, Daryl has admitted she's too much of a coward to go under voluntarily, choosing procedures only when medically necessary. Still, whispers of subtle enhancements have followed her through the years. But fans remember a young Hannah who once refused studio pressure to fix a chipped tooth, an early declaration that she wouldn't bow to Hollywood's shallow ideals. In an industry that punishes women for aging, she chooses authenticity. She walks a tightrope between scrutiny and self-respect, and somehow still shines. Whether on screen or on the front lines of protest, Daryl inspires with elegance, depth, and unshakable courage. Hollywood's mermaid didn't just swim against the tide, she made her own waves. So, what do you think? Is Daryl's fearless approach to aging a rare act of bravery, or is it a path more stars should follow? Lil' Kim didn't just enter hip-hop, she detonated it. When she exploded onto the scene in the 90s, she didn't break barriers, she demolished them. Her debut album Hardcore wasn't just a success, it was a cultural earthquake. Double platinum sales, more than 6 million copies worldwide, and a fearless style that made headlines before the music even played. Who could forget the candy-colored wigs, or that unforgettable lavender jumpsuit at the 1999 Source Awards? Lil' Kim wasn't just rapping, she was ruling. But every queen faces storms. In 2005, legal troubles landed her behind bars for a year. Yet even in prison, she remained larger than life, her crown untouchable. As time went on, however, the spotlight shifted. By 2013, fans were no longer just talking about her music, but her face. Lighter skin, altered features. The transformation sparked endless debates about beauty, identity, and the crushing pressures placed on women in entertainment, especially Black women. The firestorm reached a peak in 2016, when now-deleted Instagram posts ignited a national conversation. And yet, true to form, Lil' Kim flipped the script. At the very moment critics dissected her appearance, she teamed up with MAC Cosmetics to launch her own lipstick line, proving she still had the power to shape the beauty narrative on her own terms. Lil' Kim is more than controversy, more than headlines. She is the blueprint for boldness, for vulnerability, for reinvention. Lil' Kim were a work of art. Would you see her as a masterpiece still unfolding, or a portrait of survival? The canvas is hers, but the brush is in your hands. Paint your answer in the comments. Justine Bateman is aging loud, proud, and unapologetically real. Best remembered as the sharp-tongued Mallory Keaton from Family Ties, Bateman isn't chasing youth, she's daring to question why we worship it in the first place. At 58, she's making headlines not for a comeback role, but for her raw honesty about what it means to grow older in an image-obsessed world. In a candid sit-down with 60 Minutes Australia, she shared a story that captured just how warped beauty standards have become. One day, she Googled herself, not out of vanity, but simply to dig up an old UCLA photo from her days running the Film Society almost single-handedly. But instead of nostalgia, she was hit with a shock. Even pictures of her at 42 were plastered with the label old. The internet's autocomplete had spoken, and it was cruel. Most people would have crumbled. Bateman just laughed. She didn't see what the internet saw. No panic, no regret, Only disbelief that something as natural as aging could stir up this much hysteria. "I think I look great," she declared. "My face reflects my journey, and I'm owning it." Bateman isn't here for fillers, filters, or faking youth. She's here to remind us that wrinkles are not flaws. They're proof of a life lived fully. That every laugh line is a memory, every crease a story. If your face could tell your truth, would you still try to erase it? Drop your thoughts below, because beauty, like Bateman, isn't afraid to grow up. Jennifer Grey, the surgery that stole a star. In 1987, Jennifer Grey was untouchable. As Baby in Dirty Dancing, she captured hearts across the globe. With her wild curls, soulful eyes, and most of all, her unmistakable nose, she didn't just play a role, she embodied authenticity. She was perfectly imperfect in a world obsessed with perfection, and that's exactly why audiences adored her. But Hollywood has a cruel way of whispering in your ear: change, refine, conform. Hoping to secure her place at the top, Jennifer made a decision she thought would be small, a minor, nose job, just a tweak. Instead, it became the turning point of her career. When the bandages came off, the woman in the mirror was no longer the star the world had fallen in love with. Paparazzi didn't recognize her. Casting directors looked past her. Even friends were stunned. A second surgery followed to fix complications, but the damage was deeper than cartilage. "I went into the operating room a celebrity," she later admitted, and came out anonymous. Suddenly, her name wasn't tied to her talent or her groundbreaking role. It was tied to her face, unfamiliar, unrecognizable, and stripped of the magic that once made her stand out. Her career didn't end because of scandal or failure. It ended because Hollywood simply stopped seeing her. The irony was cruel. In trying to secure her future, Jennifer erased the very thing that made her shine. And yet, her story didn't finish there. Over the years, she reclaimed her voice, not as the ingenue of the 80s, but as a woman who lived, stumbled, and found the courage to tell her truth. Today, Jennifer Grey is more than the girl who carried a watermelon. She is a living testament to the cost of conformity, the fragility of fame, and the power of finally embracing who you are. Donatella Versace, the woman who turned fashion into fire. She was never just a name sewn into silk, never just the sister in the shadow of Johnny. She was the force beside him, the strategist, the spark who pushed Versace from boutique beginnings into a global empire. It was Donatella who whispered stars onto the runway, convincing Johnny to cast Madonna and other icons, forever fusing fashion with celebrity and rewriting the rules of fame. But as the years passed, the spotlight shifted. The world stopped talking about her vision and started obsessing over her reflection. In her battle against time, Donatella embraced plastic surgery. What began as subtle touch-ups spiraled into a transformation that ignited endless headlines. Critics dissected her face instead of her genius, as if her legacy could be erased by a scalpel. Yet Donatella never flinched. As creative director and vice president of the Versace empire, she kept the brand bold, dangerous, and dazzling. Her sharp instincts still shape red carpets, her fearless style still storms the runways. She may have changed on the outside, but her influence has never faded. Donatella Versace is living proof that true legacy isn't carved into skin, it's stitched into every masterpiece you leave behind. So ask yourself, if you had the power to redefine beauty itself, but risked becoming the headline instead of the visionary, would you take that chance? Where do we draw the line between reinvention and erasure? Victoria Principal, Hollywood's timeless enigma. To millions, she'll forever be Pamela Barnes-Ewing from Dallas, the woman who redefined primetime drama. But her legacy stretches far beyond television. For decades, she's carried herself as the embodiment of elegance, discipline, and mystery. As the years passed, Victoria's seemingly ageless face stirred endless speculation. Whispers followed her everywhere. Facelifts, brow lifts, rhinoplasty, every rumor more elaborate than the last. Yet through it all, she stood firm, insisting her glow came not from reconstruction, but from ritual, clean living, strict fitness, and skin care so meticulous it became legend. The irony, of course, was her marriage to renowned plastic surgeon Dr. Harry Glassman. To skeptics, the connection was too perfect to ignore, fueling the question, what was natural and what was quietly refined? But while others chased quick fixes, Victoria was already building something far more lasting. Long before organic was a buzzword, she launched her own line of natural skincare, carving out a wellness empire that proved beauty could be built on principle, not just procedures. She authored bestsellers like The Beauty Principle and The Diet Principle, transforming into a trusted voice in health and wellness just as commanding as her on-screen persona. After Dallas, she didn't fade, she evolved. Actress, entrepreneur, mogul, and still a mystery. Her age may fill the headlines, but her true secret? That remains locked behind a flawless smile that refuses to give time the upper hand. Kelly McGillis, the star who chose truth over illusion. In 1986, she blazed across the screen as Charlie Blackwood, the confident flight instructor who matched Tom Cruise's maverick move for move in Top Gun. With her sharp intelligence, striking beauty, and effortless poise, she became an instant icon of the decade, a symbol of power, charm, and control. Ironically, McGillis nearly turned down the role, worried it would box her in. Instead, it became the defining performance of her career. But while Top Gun soared into legend, McGillis charted a very different course. She stepped away from the Hollywood machine, choosing a quieter, more authentic life, one free from red carpets, reinvention, or the endless chase for eternal youth. Now in her 60s, she speaks with refreshing honesty about aging, about weight gain, wrinkles, and the beauty of accepting life as it comes. No disguises. No filters. Just truth. Hollywood, however, is far less forgiving. Her natural transformation became tabloid fodder, and her absence from Top Gun, Maverick was a stark reminder of how the industry often erases those who refuse to play by its rules. For fans, her non-return wasn't just a missing cameo, it was a lost chance to celebrate a character and an actress who helped define a generation. Kelly McGillis chose authenticity over illusion, reality over reinvention. And while the spotlight may have shifted elsewhere, her legacy remains untouchable, proof that true power, true beauty, and true courage can't be manufactured by surgery, makeup, or fame. They come from daring to be real. Janet Jackson. From pop princess to unshakable legend. In the 1980s, she didn't just join the pop revolution, she commanded it. With control, Rhythm Nation, and a stage presence that set new standards, Janet Jackson stepped out from the immense shadow of her famous family and became an icon all her own. Fierce, unapologetic, and original, she built a legacy on rhythm, independence, and message-driven artistry. Decades later, the girl in military jackets delivering jaw-dropping choreography has grown into a woman of quiet strength and unstoppable purpose. Her look has evolved, yes, but it's not disguise, it's transformation. The unmistakable Jackson features remain, shaped by time, wisdom, and experience. Far from running from age, Janet wears it as part of her story. Now raising her son in London, far from the tabloid storm, she has found a new rhythm of life. Her empire, albums, tours, publishing, and beyond, has brought her close to the billion-dollar mark. Yet wealth isn't her greatest triumph. Purpose is. For decades, she has quietly supported AIDS research, channeling personal loss into global impact. She may no longer dominate the charts as she once did, but her fingerprints are everywhere in modern music and performance. The voice, the moves, the fearless artistry, they're woven into the very DNA of pop culture. Time can soften appearances, but it cannot erase a legacy. And Janet Jackson's? It's eternal. Linda Evans. From dynasty royalty to timeless grace. When Dynasty exploded onto television screens in 1981, Linda Evans didn't just step into a role, she stepped into history. As the elegant yet quietly formidable Crystal Carrington, she became the heart of one of TV's most glamorous dramas. For 8 seasons and more than 200 episodes, she held her ground beside the commanding John Forsythe, proving that power could be wrapped in pearls and silk. But Evans wasn't simply acting, she was rewriting the rules. Born on November 18, 1942, she was nearly 40 when Dynasty began, an age when Hollywood often tried to push women aside. Instead, she became a household name, showing that true stardom isn't bound by youth, but by presence, talent, and timing. Her career could have taken a very different path. She was nearly cast in Battlestar Galactica, a far cry from the luxury of Carrington Manor, hinting at the range and versatility she carried long before Dynasty. Though Crystal Carrington defined her fame, Evans never allowed herself to be boxed in. She appeared in films, television specials, and even reality TV later in life, always bringing that same poise and authenticity. Off-screen, Evans poured her energy into causes close to her heart. A passionate advocate for animal rights and environmental issues, she used her platform to give back long after the cameras stopped rolling. Now at 81, Linda Evans remains an icon, not for clinging to the spotlight, but for gracefully stepping beyond it. From America's favorite TV wife to a philanthropist and quiet role model, she's proven one thing above all: true stardom doesn't fade with time. It evolves. Bridget Fonda, a woman who chose life beyond the spotlight. Once a radiant force on the silver screen, she carried both grace and edge, shifting effortlessly from the chilling suspense of single white female to the fierce action of Point of No Return and the cool elegance of Jackie Brown. Though born into Hollywood royalty, the daughter of Peter Fonda and niece of Jane, Bridget refused to be defined by her last name. From her very first role in a stage production of Harvey at just 5 years old, she proved she belonged to the craft, not the dynasty. By the 1990s, her star blazed bright, earning critical acclaim and award nominations, her career promising decades of triumph. And yet, at the height of her fame, Bridget made a choice few could fathom. In 2005, after marrying Oscar-nominated composer Danny Elfman and welcoming their son Oliver, she simply walked away. No farewell interviews. No staged goodbyes. Just a quiet exit, choosing family, creativity, and peace over the relentless applause of Hollywood. In the years since, rare sightings of her have left many stunned, expecting the polished red carpet star they once knew. Instead, they've seen a woman who shed the industry's expectations, embracing the beauty of aging naturally, unapologetically. Bridget Fonda did not vanish. She transformed. In a world obsessed with reinvention, her story is one of quiet defiance. A refusal to perform for anyone but herself, a life chosen not for the cameras, but for the soul. Nicolette Sheridan, beauty, boldness, and the power of owning it. Nicolette Sheridan first caught the world's eye as a model, her striking looks turning heads on runways and magazine covers. But it wasn't long before she left fashion behind to conquer television. Her acting debut in Paper Dolls, 1984, opened the door to what became her breakout on the long-running hit Knots Landing. At first, she auditioned for the role of Paige, but producers were so mesmerized by her charisma, they created an entirely new character, Paige Matheson, just for her. The gamble paid off. Sheridan quickly became a centerpiece of the series, earning multiple Soap Opera Digest awards and the adoration of millions. Years later, she redefined herself for a new audience as the irresistible, sharp-tongued Edie Britt on Desperate Housewives. Initially reluctant to join, fearing it might echo her Knots Landing past, Sheridan took the risk and delivered one of the most unforgettable performances of the show's run. But Sheridan's story isn't just about roles. It's about resilience, reinvention, and fearless authenticity. Over the years, her appearance has drawn speculation, yet at 60, she faced it head-on in a candid 60 Minutes Australia interview. When asked about cosmetic enhancements, she responded with disarming honesty, "My face reflects my journey, and I'm owning it." Instead of hiding, she stood as a powerful reminder that aging is not a flaw, but a badge of survival in an industry obsessed with youth. Nicolette Sheridan's career is proof that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in owning every chapter of your story. On screen and in life, she refuses to play by Hollywood's rules, choosing instead to write her own. And that, more than anything, is her lasting legacy. Tina Yothers. She didn't fade quietly into the background, she chose to age out loud. America first fell in love with her as Jennifer Keaton on Family Ties, the witty, fearless youngest sibling who could steal a scene with just a look. Millions watched her grow up on screen, but what no one expected was that, years later, she would stand for something even greater than fame, authenticity. Now in her 50s, Tina isn't chasing cameras, premieres, or approval. While many of her Hollywood peers turn to fillers, filters, and facelifts, Yothers has taken a radically different path, one rooted in truth. Unlike her former co-star Meredith Baxter, whose plastic surgeries made headlines, Tina refuses to mask her journey. In a bold, unfiltered interview with 60 Minutes Australia, she didn't hide. She didn't deflect. She owned it. "My face reflects my journey, and I'm owning it," she declared, her words echoing louder than any scripted line. In a culture obsessed with erasing time, Tina reminds us that every wrinkle tells a story worth keeping. Every change is not a flaw, but a chapter. She's lived through fame, stepped away from it, and returned, not with a surgically altered face, but with a stronger, truer voice. Tina Yothers isn't just aging. She's evolving, on her own terms, in full view of the world. Forget filters. Forget the illusion of perfection. Real power is showing up unedited, unapologetic, and unafraid. So here's the question. Would you rather be remembered for looking flawless, or for living fearlessly? Drop your truth in the comments. Brigitte Bardot, the beauty who chose a bigger battle. In the 1950s and 60s, Brigitte Bardot wasn't just a movie star, she was a revolution wrapped in blonde hair and smoky eyes. With her effortless sensuality and rebellious charm, she redefined what it meant to be a sex symbol. But Bardot was never content to be just a pretty face. She was a singer, an actress, a model, an all-around cultural force who starred in 47 films and wrote over 60 songs, embodying the restless spirit of post-war France with a passion that mesmerized the world. Audiences couldn't take their eyes off her on screen, while tabloids devoured her private life, especially her fiery romance with French actor Jean-Louis Trintignant, where art and scandal collided in ways only Bardot could pull off. She lived without fear, building a reputation on both glamour and defiance. But time spares no icon. Now 88, Bardot no longer resembles the youthful siren who once set the world on fire, and she doesn't care to. Her face, lined with age, tells not a story of fading vanity, but of a life lived fully, fiercely, and unapologetically. Instead of clinging to the spotlight, Bardot walked away from film in the 1970s and reinvented herself as a warrior for the voiceless. She poured her energy into animal rights, becoming one of France's most unyielding advocates. What began with beauty evolved into purpose. She once made hearts race. Today, she fights to protect them. Thanks for watching Exposed Hollywood. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us, which Brigitte Bardot do you admire most? The dazzling icon before the cameras, or the fearless activist behind the cause?